Oh, contract is finished. Yay, lift. So, way we made some money. It was 92 the other one. No, 65 was. There it is. See, that tractor I don't like. Although, frankly, it's better than this one. All this like rain, my tractor's a lot cleaner than it was. So we'll do 65 and then we'll head back to the yard, and hopefully it'll be late enough that I can take a nap. For those of you late to the stream, I should not really be doing this right now. It's been raining solidly this hard since about 6 o'clock this morning, and so the fields would be incredibly muddy. And we'd be risking getting our tractor stuck in the mud. Now, starting out at 6 o'clock and going to do a little bit of cultivating, probably not a big deal because the fields aren't saturated yet. All you're doing is turning the dirt over. But by this time of day, we'd kind of been getting stuck in the mud. But we're going to pretend that isn't happening. All I'm doing is running the time at times 15 because it's going to rain all day and there's nothing else I need to do. Oops, wrong way. 20 times and off we go. So again, I'll do 2 rows here along the lane just so we don't interfere with traffic. Tomorrow, I think it's supposed to rain until about 3 o'clock in the morning, so we probably shouldn't do much in the way of work early tomorrow morning. But if we leave the ground to dry off, this is great for our crops though. And we shouldn't be having any worries with crops dying in drought conditions. I think we managed to get all our crops in the ground after the ground temperatures rose enough, so we have no germination issues. So potentially we're looking at 100% yield this year. The only issues we might have is a couple of those fields have weeds on them. Now, I wouldn't say there's significant numbers of weeds, but that could change. We definitely have weed issues. And normally I don't worry about them, but as time goes on and the weeds get more prolific, there will be a time when we look at it and say far too much of our field is having production penalties because of the amount of weeds on them, and at that point we'll need to take care of things. But it's not like base game where you've just got weeds all across the field, so you're at a flat minus 15 yield, whatever it is. I also don't have any anti-weed equipment at this point. Although with seasons you can do a preemptive herbicide spray. So you could cultivate. I don't know whether you'd herbicide immediately after cultivating or not. Yes, and that is true. So it may be the thing to do, and maybe not worry about the weeds this year. We can drive over to, or probably drive back to the yard and then wander over to our fields. But I think one of our fields has a bad case of weeds. Yeah, comparatively bad case of weeds, but two of our fields don't look too bad right now. And I'd like to save all the money we've got to buy a harvester at the end of the year, which is why we're doing all these contracts. And there's an achievement for doing contracts, so let's kill two birds with one stone. But yeah, I don't have the equipment to do logging. I don't have the equipment to do sawdust. No, what is it? Wood chips. And they all cost quite a bit to get started. And we've got 40,000. So I'd kind of like to avoid buying any forestry equipment right now. Right, but if I did cultivating and then herbicide and then plant, or would I plant then herbicide? Missing some of this field. Plant then herbicide. Okay, that's good to know. Because one of the things with seasons is you, if you do what I'm doing here and just leveling the weeds with the cultivator, they will come back at full strength. There's no sort of stage 1 growth, stage 2 growth. If your weeds patch over there on the right, they're at stage 2 growth. I cultivate those in. Those can come back fairly quickly at stage 2. So you kind of don't then get a chance to use the weeder on them. So you have to catch your weeds at stage 1 when your crops are still stage 0 or stage 1. If you leave it too late, then the weeds are stage 2, your only options are herbicide, and then you want to deal with them when there aren't any crops on the ground, growing. Okay. Go, 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 go. Still, I kind of like this tractor. We've only got a rear hitch. We've got about 500 kilo weight on the front, I think. And I had to shift it to large front and rear tyres and wheel weights on the back so that it could actually haul this cultivator, which cultivator only needs 40 horsepower. The tractor's got about 90. But traction was sorely lacking. I think it was something I noticed on one of Clutch's videos way back. He had the same problem I did, and it's sort of, I wonder what happens if I just go with big tyres and weights, and because there's nothing else I can do with this tractor to make it work. And then I discovered all the way to get things moving is with more rubber on the ground equals more traction. And then someone pointed me off at a video, I can't remember who did it, but he did the, okay, let's cultivate with a big cultivator and a big tractor. Normal tyres, double tyres, triple tyres, with weights, without weights, and also with the weight at the front or not with the weight at the front. It turns out putting a weight on the front does make a difference. Although I'm guessing not so much with this tractor, since we don't have front wheel drive. This is a two-wheel drive tractor, so having weight on the front just keeps your steering true. But with a four-wheel drive tractor, having weight on the front actually provides you with more traction. Right, yeah. Weeds are always coming back. But at least with Farm Sim, if you treat the field with weeds, the entire field with weeds, you're not going to with herbicides, you're not going to have weeds that year. It might have been CLP, it might have been someone who just does trees, high trees. Okay. Turn around, do the rest of that bit. We'll go back to where the trees were. Oh, now someone was, I think it was Red 5 Alpha, was talking about he wasn't getting cultivation. I'm doing jobs, so jobs don't count as cultivation, or contracts. But we can check, have I got any cultivation done? Yeah. So this thing I have on the back of my tractor counts as a cultivator, and I believe is in the cultivator. Is it? Yes. This thing here. This thing not as good because it folds a very tiny bit each end, but this centre section is probably about 3.5, 4 metres. It's too wide for the roads here. That kind of close to being too much for this tractor. But yeah, this counts as a cultivator. These do not count as cultivators in spite of the fact they leave the ground in a cultivated state. They do not add to your stats for cultivating. And I think disc harrows and power harrows are the same thing. They do not count for cultivation achievements. So I think I noticed that on Farm Sim 17 when they brought out the Kun DLC. The subsoiler did not count as a cultivator, it counted as a plough, and plough is not something you would do for achievements. Okay, take care, Kevin. And ploughing is not an achievement task. Fertilizing, I think you have to do twice as much fertilizing as you do cultivating, seeding and harvesting. I think seeding is one of the... cultivating, plough... Oh, ploughed is a thing. But it's not good for achievements. You've got sowing, fertilize and harvest. But fertilizing for achievements, you need to do twice as much fertilizing as you do the other three, which is kind of fair enough because you have to fertilize twice, or potentially you can fertilize twice. Oh, it's 6 o'clock already. I'll keep the times 15 for now. So I'll drop it back to times 5. Should be 8 o'clock by the time we reach back at the farm. So yeah, me knocking these weeds down, if we come back in 2 days, they'll be full height again. So we're not disturbing them in any way. And your herbicide, you can either spot, treat, or cover the entire field. And if you cover the entire field, that just results in no weeds for the rest of that year. But you can't do it with a worker, because the worker's going to look and say, why are you spreading herbicide on a field with no weeds? Today is day 7 late spring. Okay, so it's the first day of late spring for us, and playing with a 9-day season on this playthrough, which might not have been the best idea, because we're playing with small equipment on small fields. We've got 3 fields, but it's not like we're overloaded with stuff to do. Sometimes I wish I was playing law folds on a 9-day season because of the weather. And we're getting to the point on that farm where we have more fields than we have the equipment to work them. Okay. But here, this is giving me opportunity to do contracts. I don't remember how many contracts you have to do for the what's it called? The achievement. I think we'll run along the edge of this field. So it'll give us more turnaround space at the other end. Oh, there we go, we're already done. So, awesome. Let's collect our $50 and go home. Okay, 737. So, 92 was $500. I'm not going to do 92. Although it is just down the road. Okay, so we turn right, we go there, we go up there, join the main road, and that takes me back to there. Oats is good. Wood chips are good. So we made 6,700 today. I'm not sure what the farm operating costs are. Gonna need to buy some more pet food soon. 2 jobs complete. So let's head back to base. And we'll do some cab driving for a change. So we are growing wheat anyway. Hopefully it won't be we'll be able to harvest before we need to buy any more chicken food. Do I have any rear view mirrors? Oh yes I do. One out there, one out there and there. Completely useless. The lights on. That's too many lights on. Turn the back lights off. Catching this one. Okay, looks like there's a farm track on the left coming up. It's behind 39, that's probably a good way to go. Interesting. So this is the back side of our farm. That does not count as a silage bunker, but we can stick stuff in that storage. Okay, here we are. No, this isn't. This is just a pile of junk. So looking that way, looks like we have a weed. that field. But this way, not worried about the edge of the field, but there's a patch of weeds there. There's a big patch of weeds there. So, you know, still we've got vast acres of the field is growing nicely and not interfered with weeds. Another minor crop there. But for the most part, I'm not going to worry about those weeds this year. But next year, when we plant that field, I will probably treat it with herbicide. And we'll take time out to buy some herbicide. And we look at this, and yeah, we got a couple of patches there, big patch there, big patch there, a couple more there, and another one there. This field has that one. This field is fine. So that's kind of where we sit. So 2 of the fields are fine. The other one has a weed infestation, but it's probably not something I need to worry about right now, this year. But we probably need to think about it next year. Okay, we'll put this back. So yeah, that's my fertilizer on the left, right, or on our right there. And does not have a lid, so not the sort of thing we can use in this weather. I also think this map maker forgot to put food spillage area over there. We have not had any problems with chickens making a mess. That'll do. Turn the lights off, turn the engine off. Oh, windshield wipers stop when you turn the engine off. Not sure I've noticed that on other vehicles. No, I am not tired. Ugh. Okay. There's another yard over here. There's a couple of shed in it. I was thinking I could possibly put a silage bunker over here and make silage. But I think the in-game silage bunkers are too big. There's also a shed here, which I can't get into. I wonder if I have to buy the land. Ooh. Oh, it has no windows. Huh. Hayloft. Okay. Down. There we go. Yeah, a lot of these buildings don't work. And I could not find a sleep area, so we've had to use the deck chair. Which unfortunately I stuck in a tree.